Everybody doing? Well, I'm as excited as you guys are to be here in Dallas at a convention, let me tell you. I thank Ben and everybody who put this thing on, and all the people who have been volunteering, and all of you for turning out. Can you hear me okay out there? Okay, good. All right, let's just start this off real quick by allowing you guys to ask me the questions you'd like to ask. We have about an hour to do this, and we can just take our time. Who'd like to be first? Go ahead, sir, in the back.
I was going to ask you, at a recent convention or showing, you talked about how you kind of put the idea in the mind of the directors and producers of Blade Runner, the Harrison Ford character was actually replicated. Can you talk to me briefly on that?
Yeah, that became probably one of the biggest controversial moments in modern times of characters that were derived as we were moving along in the production. When Harrison realized what the situation was, he really got kind of angry. He said he didn't play the character to be something other than what he was, but that's exactly what Ridley Scott wanted. He didn't know himself. So he didn't want him to know until he realized it. And then when he realized it, he had to come to terms with it. And it was done by the usage of the little unicorn, which I thought was brilliant on Ridley's part. And I think it's truly gave the film probably the longevity that it has been able to understand. I think it's the most relevant film for modern times. I think you can see it today, and it feels even stronger and clearer than it did, 1980 when the movie came out. So it's been almost 30 years, So it's been a long time coming, and all I can say is that I think that it truly was a gift. I enjoyed it. I was very thankful that Ridley was secure enough as a human being to allow the kind of growth that a lot of us did for the film, and especially allowing me to create the character that I created. It was never supposed to be quite what it turned out to be. It was a situation where he allowed me to, take over the responsibility of the character. And so we brought in, of course, the Asian influence on the movie. We brought in the sound of the city speak, the languages, and of course all the origami, which was something that was created on the set as I was doing the character. So he was pretty, that's bold, when you allow those kind of movements to be taken on by someone other than the director or the writer. So it was great. I enjoyed that movie a lot. Matter of fact, how many of you are Battlestar Galactica fans? Okay. How many of you are not? How many of you have never seen Battlestar Galactica? There's 2 of us, 3 of us. No, don't get out. Don't get out. Just the opposite. This is what they call spoiler time. So that's why I asked the question, and not to point you out, but more to know how many people am I going to ruin their experience of watching Battlestar. When you do watch Battlestar, if you get a chance to really, if you're curious about it after being here, start at the miniseries. Watch the miniseries. If you like the miniseries, then go to episode 1. If you like the miniseries in episode 1, go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do not, under any circumstances, jump. It's like getting a great book, can you imagine picking up a Hemingway book and starting on chapter 37, turning to page, 72, and cracking it open and then wondering, oh, yeah, I understand this. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, for sure. You lose a lot of the nuances, and you really don't get the full impact. And I envy people who have not seen the show and then get to see it on Blu-ray for the first time. Can you imagine that? Never ever seen the show. You get in, you put the first Blu-ray in, and you have the whole set there, and you sit down for the first time. Man, you better have your lunch, your breakfast, lunch, and dinner ready, man, because you're going to be hooked. Like, boy, I've heard of people throwing the entire 88 hours in 1 week. You know, they just sit down and they go for it. They take like a vacation and they go out, and it's usually done with their spouses. And they sit there and like they prepare for this, and I mean, what an experience that would have been to be able to do it that way. No commercials on Blu-ray. Come on.
Do a lot of giving editorial on them.
Oh man, you had everything there. I mean, you know, with that situation, you could even listen to, you know, the directors and all the people who are involved in it. So it would have been an extraordinary way to watch the entire production for the very first time. Question? Yes?
Did you have any idea how critically acclaimed the show would be when you were first supposed to do?
You know, I think that I must tell you the truth on this one. It was pretty much understandable by the very first script, the pilot, the miniseries that Ron Moore wrote. Because of the sensibilities that we all had, because it was just about 13 months after 9/11, you know, and we were all like in a different state of mind. We had lost innocence, and we had gained knowledge that really was disturbing to every single person in this country. No matter where you fell into, you know, what you thought about the situation, it just displaced you, and you found yourself thinking about it and having to deal with it. And those dealings that you had to do ended up becoming something that really changed you as a human being. Everybody in this room, I don't care how old you were. And so when I was handed the script, I had no desire in doing, you know, a remake of Battlestar Galactica. I had to be honest with you. I was doing theater at the time when the original came on, and I was doing Zoot Suit, and a very interesting theater piece that ended up becoming a film in 1981. But it was a piece that took total focus of my life, and I never saw television during that period of 1978 through 1980. For 2 years, all we did was that play. And then it actually took me 3 years to do that play. And I did over 300 performances of it. So you can imagine, you know, in a period of time, how much time I was spending doing that. And so when I got to the point of my wife decided, she read it. She got it, and she went and she read it. And then she came back to me and she says, you should read this. I said, excuse me? She goes, you should read this. And I said, oh, okay. So I sat down and I read the first 3 pages, which was like a guide to reading the story and understanding how the story went. It was a preface that Ron Moore had written. And it was completely right there is when I said, okay, if you want me to read this in this manner, I will crack it. And I read the first page, and I couldn't stop. And it was so riveting, the very first miniseries, the script for it, that I knew that if we did it with a sense of integrity and understanding of what we had done with Blade Runner, because literally I had not done anything. I had been offered the opportunity to do the command after Captain Kirk was killed off. They offered me the role of to commandeer the Enterprise and become the commander of the Enterprise, and I turned it down because I was not into doing anything after Blade Runner. I felt that I had really worked in what I consider to be the ultimate understanding of science fiction. And so I was on doing other stuff. I was creating other kind of work. So when they offered me Star Trek, I said thank you, but no thank you. At this time, I was working at the time, so I said thank you, but no thank you. And then this came about and caught me. And with 9/11, you know, an incredible script, and knowing when I met with them, the first thing I said to them, I said, if we can walk into the world that Blade Runner opened, that nobody has walked into since then. I mean, we did Blade Runner and then nobody went there again. That kind of reality was never faced again. That kind of storytelling, where the character-driven stories are so poignant that it feels like a reality that just completely opens up to you. So when we did that, I walked into Ron Moore and David Eichen and said, you know, if we walk into that world, and it's there, it's ready for the making. I mean, it's very interesting what the situation is when you start to know both pieces of work. And at the end of the story, you'll really see what I mean. But so I walked in and I told them that I really wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page. If I was going to take this on, I really wanted to walk into that world, and I didn't want it. I told them, and I put it in the contract, the very first four-eyed monster that I see, you put me in this movie, and you put something like just somebody's imagination of these creatures that are out there in space, and if you go there, I'm going to faint on camera. And then you're going to have to write that, the Colonel Adama died of a heart attack. And that would be the end of it, And literally that's what we did, and we put in the contract, and the rest was history, because from that moment on we walked into that world, and they were a little scared of doing the hybrid. And I said, there's a difference between creating something that is half human and half machine, because that's exactly what the show is about. It's the singularity, like Kurzweil talks in his books. The singularity is very near, and you all know it. What you have in your possession, every single one of you, with your cell phones, is enough to make you realize that the future is now, and we are really deeply inside of it. People are taking photographs of me right now in every single which way, What is this for, by the way? For Mark. For Mark? Okay. But they're Twittering me as I speak. And he said this, and now he's saying this, and poof. And you can ask it and Google anything, and you will have, with trillions of bytes, quickly answers to questions that you don't even know the answer to. That's why you're asking the question. And it influences you. It makes you smarter than you really are. And we're moving to the point now where singularity, meaning that the machine and you will become one. And they'll either chip you, and you'll have the chip inside of your brain, or we'll be wearing it as a wristband, or something will happen so that you can lock into the source and Google it without programming it on your computer in front of you. It'll now be on you, and you'll be able to say, just a moment, this is the answer. Boom. And and everybody will have that capacity. And that's why medicine and everything is growing so quickly. And so with me doing this program, getting involved, I personally felt that at that moment in time, yes, we were working on something very, very special, and we knew it from the very first page, time you turn the first page. And we knew that if they kept the integrity, and if we really worked honestly moving forward, and everybody that touched it, and the miracle came, the true miracle of this piece came in something that happened. Remember, this is 2003, okay?